what's going to be? How's it hanging? How's it happen? You guys know who this is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, the podcast that Rolling Stone says initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, the best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your Intel code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Link to the podcast below. Let's go to our feature presentation. Let's get heavy once again. We have Waylon from the band A Killer's Confession on the podcast today, and this is as insightful as it gets. The brand new album Victim 1 comes out on September 13th. We dive into it, the concepts around it, the internal struggle that this album really shows, the message that Killer's Confessions really put down, and why that confession point is such a strong part of it that we need to realize in today's world. Are you guys ready for a great one? Hell yeah. Let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, probably one of the hardest working guys in the year 2024 in any of the music industry, rock, metal, you name it. This is him right here. When we were recording this, they got back from tour from like 5 straight months of touring, and trust me, there's no putting the foot off the gas, putting the foot on the brake. No, it's all gas, no brakes from here. The brand new album, Victim 1, comes out on September 13th. And if you like metal, alternative metal, new metal flair in there, just anything heavy that's going to make you want to smash someone in the pit and have a great time doing it, this is where you want to be. So please welcome Waylon from the band A Killer's Confession, the podcast. So Waylon, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Dude, I appreciate having you on. I love the little conversation we have going into this. And dude, I have to say, again, one of the hardest working guys I've ever heard of when it comes to going on the road constantly for like 5 straight months. And then a new album coming out. And then I know you, there's gonna be more dates coming out at some point in time soon. So dude, yes, like you said, trying to be a 25-year-old on the road, constantly hungry, but how else are you going to grow the band and grow the sound and get more people into it if you're not hungry like a 25-year-old just trying to make it?
Well, that's the thing. It's like I go back to the old ways of doing things. We are a live band. We are a performance art. You will not experience us unless you experience us. You have to be there in person. There's no cell phone. There's no video that will ever capture what we do on stage. And we are that band. Like, I prefer to be that type of band because we're kind of like that cult following thing. Like we're underground. If you know us, you know us. If you don't, you don't. We're one of those bands. And I like it like that. I do not want to be so big that I can't go to Walmart, because if you take that away from me, my life has no meaning. I must be able to go to Walmart and look at people. Because I have friends, I know Jelly personally, and I'm friends with Korn, and a lot of bigger artists out there, and I don't want their lives. Like, I look at it, I'm like, that's nice, but I like to go to Walmart. Like, I want to be able to go somewhere, so that's why I put the mask back on, and so people can just like, I'm just the Wizard of Oz. Don't look at the guy behind the mask. I'm just the dude. This is the guy everybody pays to see right here. He's here. He's got his head right now. He's not saying much, but I wear that on purpose because I do like having, I like the family life. I like being able to go do things, and so that's why I do that.
That makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, when you think about it, use the Walmart barometer of, can you go to Walmart and be recognized or not, or, go there and have a peaceful time, just go do your shopping, go about your day, whatever it might be. Because in today's day and age, I mean, we've seen it all over the place where there are certain fans that just are so obsessive over certain artists or just certain celebrities, where if they're out in public, they're just going out and just trying to latch onto them. I'm not going to say attack them, but like trying to embrace them with love, like a kid that's squeezing a teddy bear so hard that the head ends up falling off. Like,
that's all great. I don't want it. Don't touch me. You smell.
Yeah, don't touch Waylon, guys. I mean, just put on some deodorant too, but don't touch him anyway, because that's what the mask is for. You got to go to see the performance. You got to go take a part of that, because at the same time, it allows you to immerse yourself into the music and immerse yourself into the experience and make you want to go out and see them play live and really experience that in full. I think about a band like Gwar, where it's like, for me, I will always go and see Gwar every single time, not because their music is perfectly for me, but because the performance piece of it is so well done and so over the top, where it's something that if they're going to come around by wherever I'm at, I'm not going to miss out on it. Luckily, this year, they're coming to where I live on Halloween night. So
There
there's
you
no
go.
way in hell I can miss out on something like
What was
that.
a hell of a show too. Like,
Oh yeah.
I'm all about the show. I'm all about when you leave, you had an experience. I seen a review the other day, and a guy said flat out, he goes, "I'm not into the mask. I'm not into a gimmick. I'm not into any of this." He goes, "They walked on stage, and I was reserved." And he goes, "There was no theatrics to this show. There's a message." And he goes, was our message, cliche or just to get attention?" He goes, "I doubt it. You could just hear it in the guy's voice. He meant exactly what he was saying." And if you know Killer's Confession, you know our shirts, you know what we're talking about. I don't want to get you in trouble, because what we say is very blatant and very, very risque. We are totally about saving the children and unaliving certain people, and we'll leave it as that, because like it has got me in trouble, and I do not want to get anybody else in trouble for my personal beliefs. But we are a band with a message, and that message is, just protect your children and to see what side of the world you really sit on, and if you're doing wrong, and if you can figure that out, can you come back from it? We are the boogeyman's boogeyman, to say the least.
I mean, just the way you describe it, I pretty much know exactly what you stand for by saying you're the boogeyman's boogeyman. Great way to put it. And I know you said, you have gotten people to come after you for that kind of message. But my question is when it comes to putting out a message that at certain times people are going to be against, most time people are going to be for something like that, because who wouldn't be for saving the children?
Yes.
But when it comes to putting out something that's so blatantly like that, of course you're going to get detractors. Of course you're going to get the negative feedback from it. And there's a lot of people, especially in today's day and age, with the way the internet is, that are afraid to put out anything of an opinion that is strong, concrete, and there's really no wiggle room to be like, oh, well, it could mean this or that. Why would you go and do something like that with all that going on? I mean, I know there's a great reason behind it, but want to have that so other people can get inspired to really believe in what they want to believe and just go for it.
It's eye for an eye. If you're willing to take a child's life away, and when I say that, you ruin whatever life they were going to have. That's a life, and you've ended it. Same rules apply. I don't feel like you should be here, especially if you are evil enough to look at a child, which is the most beautiful part of life. Your child, like most people's child, not everybody has a great childhood, and I'm sorry for anyone who has not. I want everybody to have this childhood, but a childhood is meant to be imaginative, the limitless possibilities. The world's at your fingertips. It's such a big place. You're new to it. It's magical. Anybody that's willing to take that away, you're evil, and you should not be here. That if you can look at a child and want to ruin that, you have no place. You don't have a place breathing the same air I do.
And it's not even about like ending that innocence or ending that wonderment or mysticism or just that freedom to do whatever you want and have that limitless possibilities. But when that ends up happening, think about the people that are closely connected to that child, like the parents, the family. Now you created this dark cloud over them, and it limits what that creativity can be, what their possibilities can be, because now everything's in much more of a narrow scope due to the fact that you have this piece of just absolute passion, joy, light that is now gone. So
it's gone. And I'm gonna quote myself. I say it in the new album: "Look at their home; it will always be broken. It will always. There's no fixing it. There you can be forgiven for a lot of things. That is not one of them. That is not one of them. And it's like I say it because it needs to be said. It needs to be taken that seriously. You cannot smack the hand. There is no coming back from it. There is none of that. This is a statement. I'll stand behind it. Cancel me if you want. They tried. I will. This voice you cannot silence. This voice, it matters. This is not political. This is not red. This is not blue. This is morally correct.
I'd have to agree with you on that. It's in a fold. Just when you think about it in another capacity, there are so many people out there that are just going to, if they disagree with you on one little thing, they're going to try and cancel. They're going to try and end your career because they just don't have an agreement with you. Or I've seen this happen a lot lately. Now, this can go from political side of things to other instances in culture where there's no capacity to just have that conversation or to respect that other people are going to have different opinions than you, no matter how strong they are. And if you try and completely cancel it and just ruin that for that person, that message ends up becoming essentially, and sometimes stronger, when people try and suppress messages. Now people are going to latch onto it, and then it comes out in more full in a completely different way. We've seen that happen throughout history. But when you have a message like this, it's really hard to figure out why people would just be so full force against it to try and cancel you. And by you just continually go out there not caring, because a lot of times when people try and get canceled, it's on the internet. And when people put so much stock and focus in on what people on the internet think or what the overall zeitgeist of culture is thinking, then they put so much stock in a fake space. And I'm not saying fake, it's just because it's virtual. It's not real. You step out into the world, and it's a lot different when someone is so much against you and you put them right in front of you and you have them say it to their face, because trust me, they're not going to be able to say it to you. They're going to be way too intimidated by it, because there's going to be repercussions of those actions right then and there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We had a person in Oklahoma City come up to us, and he wasn't against the message.
Okay.
He agreed with the message. But he goes, being that it's 2024 and you need to be more inclusive. I said, kids is kids. That covers everybody. Kids, children. Like, doesn't boy, girl, whatever you want to throw us in there. That covers everything. This is a minor. He said, well, why don't you change it? If you're on the list, you won't be missed. And I'm like, nah, that just defeats the purpose. It needs to be ugly. It needs to be as ugly as the action that was taken. It needs to be just, you cannot combat that with a smack on the wrist or just a play on words. You need to say what needs to be said, because that statement gets your attention and being like, they actually care. And we do. We have children show up to our shows all the time. I love children. I do. And I'll protect them. And their parents know our message, and they know who we are. They know that I have children. They know that I love children. I love watching them, because they shock me on how cool they are. They really do. But the thing about it is, nothing's going to happen to that child while they're in my presence. I will lay my life down for that child. It ain't mine, but I would, because they're that precious to me, and I will take my 3 hots and a cot for any one of them.
I mean, when you talk about living the message and really being fully embodied, dude, you absolutely embody that message every step of the way. And when it comes to having kids at shows too, that's always a great thing, because you get to see these kids, you get to see them take part in something that is magical, that has impacted so many people throughout life, which is music, or live music in general. I mean, if it wasn't for live music and just going to as many shows as I do, I wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now, having this conversation. I wouldn't be enjoying life as much as I am. And one of the coolest things that always happens at shows is if you get kids in shows too, where I've seen kids, maybe they're a little intimidated, a little scared. All of a sudden, their parents will bring them into the mosh pit. But of course, all of us, we'll all back off. And it's like, okay, we got a kid in here. No one's going to hit the kid, but we're going to have some fun going down. Like, okay, just knock me in the shoulder. Kid pushes me. I'll go flying backwards just for the fun of it. And you create that moment where it is a place where a kid wants to be, where they want to be a part of this, where they feel comfortable being at a show. And especially if they start taking the music, that can be a core memory that allows them to expand that creativity into life even further, to become somebody who is making music like you are, Waylon, or just enjoying life in general and bringing positivity to everybody else they come in contact with.
You said it best, positivity. I have so many kids, and they'll show up first, and they see this in the makeup, and this is intimidating with the contacts in, and I'll pull it up, and just kind of do that to let them know, do not take me too seriously. Like, I love you. I'm going. And I had a child. We were in Springfield, Missouri on this last run, and our crowds are really tame. Like, we don't have many mosh pits. We don't have many crowd surfers. They just don't do it. People are more about singing and about saying back what's being pushed to them. And I think that's the biggest form of flattery. If you're singing my lyrics back to me, my heart is just thumping through my chest. That is the most exciting thing. And we had crowd surfers, and it was odd because we don't really have that much. It happens, but not really. But we had a group of kids up front, and the security, there was no barrier. So like you had a stage and people right at the stage. So they're coming right on, and the kids were sitting on the stage on the front between the monitors. I was spending the entire night protecting children. I was catching people's heads so they wouldn't bust their head, but I was also making sure I was throwing them away from a 6-year-old sitting there just smiling with their horns up, singing lyrics. And I'm just like looking at the 6-year-old like, God, it's going to kill me if something happens to you, you know? And I'm looking at it like that. And I do look at it. I don't want anybody ever hurt. I want people to have fun, but I have rules. A, watch out for the kids. B, pick them up if you knock them down. If somebody goes down, stop what you're doing, call for help. Like we're a brotherhood here, or we're not a brother, we're a family here. Like we're all here for the same reason. We're here because we love the music that's on the bill tonight. We have something in common. We're not enemies. We have something on. Stop what you're doing. Stop out of your world for a moment. And if somebody goes down, have the compassion to pick them up and make sure they're okay, or get somebody to them. Let me know on stage so I can stop what's going on up there, so we can do a reset, get them in a safe position, and then we can continue on with the show.
And that's always an important thing to do too, because I've seen this happen in the past. This was a couple of years ago. I was seeing Breaking Benjamin perform live, and these two guys started fighting right in front of their kids, like they were their kids. And Ben Burnley ended up not only kicking out like the guys that were fighting, but he had the kids of the guys that were fighting, because they weren't a part of it. He had them come up on stage and watch the rest of the show from the stage. So now the kids are out of that environment. The dads are the ones that are the dumbasses. They got to go deal with themselves and the repercussions of their actions. But the kids are going to have that magical moment where a moment in time where it seemed like something was going to go completely wrong. Someone up on stage saw it, saved it, and gave those kids the magical moment that they deserve. Because when we think about it in our own capacity, remember when we were kids, how cool would it have been to be at a show where the artist recognized you or brought you up on stage or made sure that you were okay? You would feel positive about the music scene, and from then you would feel positive about going to those shows. You would have such a positive connection to the band as well, where that comfortability as a kid would continue to rise. You'd be more comfortable to go out and do certain things that you might be more scared to do. It's an inspiring moment that you're giving these kids. And when they're sitting up on stage, making sure that they're safe from these crowd surfers that are coming in. Of course, many of us that are in the crowd as well, we don't want to hurt kids. We want to see these kids have fun too. We see kids come into the pit at times. We're not going to, hit them like we hit everybody else. We know especially if they're little. I've seen it at festivals. I've had people come up to me. We've gone flying back. I've seen kids on people's shoulders run around a circle pit, and we've got guys like formed around them like a whole circle. So if someone gets knocked into them, we have that barrier between. We want to make sure that those kids have that positive moment again, because that wonderment, that mysticism, that positivity radiates forever. I mean, when you see a kid smile at a show, just having the time of his or her life, how can you not enjoy that moment?
It is. And I think about it when I went to my first show. I met Korn and met Manson, the first concert. I was 16. I'll never forget that. Those guys were so cool to me, but I was told before I got there, you're not going to meet anybody. They're not going to have time for you. They're not going to want to have time for you. And that always stuck with me, because Korn and Manson both took time to say hello to me and give me autographs. Korn especially spent the whole night talking to me. They were fresh off their self-titled album. They were opening the show. They were first of three. It was Korn, then Manson, then Danzig. One of the best shows I've ever been to. But it left me with the impression of always make time. Like if somebody can buy a VIP, and that's great. And I try to keep our VIPs where we have a 30-minute block. I only do a certain amount of people so I can actually spend time with you. I do not like the factory where you come in, shake a hand, hello, goodbye, picture, hello, goodbye, picture. I don't like that. I would rather sit down. What's your name? What are you doing? What games you playing right now? I want to have that type of experience. But at the same time, if I'm out and about in the crowd and somebody stops me, I'm not going to be rude. I'm not going to be, it's like I may be in a hurry to get somewhere, but I will take that moment to take a picture with you and sign an autograph and be like, thank you for coming, and then I might head on to what I'm doing, but I will never, ever say no. Like that is that I think that's just a shitty way to be. It shows how you really truly are when you can't make time for the people that have put you in the position you are in. Like you got to understand, no fan, no show. No show, no fan. Like you don't have them, you don't have this. And if you can't recognize that on top of everything, you ain't got nothing. Like, it's like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be doing my dream job. I wouldn't be getting to do this for 30 years. I have been doing this long. And a lot of people are like, you don't look that old. Well, I feel it. You know, I have been doing this so long that the fame and money and all that does not matter to me at all. It's about the message. I've been given a platform to spread something. And 200 years from now, if somebody pulls up Victim One and they listen to what I'm saying, hopefully they can decipher what I'm saying is like, there is hope no matter how lost you are. That's the whole underlining thing of A Killer's Confession. Everybody always sees killers. They never look at the word that follows. It's about the confession. Are you willing to admit that you messed up?
And for those that aren't willing to admit they messed up, it's you never grow from it. You never learn from it. And there's so many artists too that I've talked to where, I kind of see how they work, see how they act. And yeah, you give time to fans, but it's never as blatantly like forward where they're focusing on the fans as much as some of these others. And the ones that I've seen focused in heavily on fans are the ones that continue to grow, that continue to have that longevity and continue to make the positive impact. Papa Roach is a great example. The amount of times I've had artists on the podcast talk about the times where Jacoby came up and talked to them and inspired them to do stuff. And I'm like, you guys have been artists for 10, 15 years. And you're talking about a time back when Papa Roach released Infest and this happened. It's incredible. Or I know you're talking about the VIPs too, where it's you pay them a lot of money, you get a handshake and a picture, and that's it. And it just doesn't have that genuine feel to it. I did one with the band We Came as Romans. I got a poster here and a banner back there. They only had 12 people in for it, and you got to play cornhole with the guys. It was 2-on-2.
That's
you
awesome.
You got to play with two of the members, and if you weren't playing, you got to talk to the other three while you guys were just hanging out. It was like, this is how it's supposed to be, because it was fun. It was an activity, but you got not only one-on-one time with one of the band members that you were standing next to while playing, but you got to talk to everybody else when they weren't playing. You had that fan connection point, and when you take that heavy of an approach on it, where I'm going to give all the fans the time of day. They're the ones that are here to support us. If we don't help them and we don't support them, we're not there for them. How are they going to support us? It's going to be that back and forth relationship building that's going to maximize so much on it. And that's another message too to send out to a lot of bands. And you absolutely live it, because if you had not done something like that, if you're not taking that mentality, you wouldn't be making music for 30 years and continue to make it more and more and more as time goes on.
Exactly. At this part of my career, I'm making more music now than I did in the beginning. Like we're working on the release of Victim One, which comes out September 13th. I'm already working on the next album. I'm already got songs like for next year for the next album. I am there. Like I know how the world works and how fast I've got to be. Today, you've got, like, once something's out, you got to be on to the next. You got to be on to the next. You have to be, because people's attention spans are not what they used to be. They are short, TikToked. They have been TikToked, and they have 30 seconds, and that's all you get. And you better be on to the next, because that 30 seconds ain't going to last. It's not. And it's funny, because it's like, did I ever think it was going to be like this? Do I wish I could write an album and tour for 2 years? Hell yes, I do. Now I got to sit there and read books and study and understand where I'm going, because I'm doing a concept thing, and it's a lot harder. I'm not trying to write a hook line that's cool for 10 seconds. I'm trying to write something when people get over themselves and stop this craze of like the search for likes and love in the wrong places. When they go back and they read what I'm saying, it's like, you always had it. You just had to walk away from your master. That's all you had to do, because it's out there. It's the world. The world is a big place, and it does not exist right here.
No, that's only meant to just add to it, not to be the whole world or be your whole entire side.
But we failed ourselves by allowing it to become that. We have failed ourselves. I preferred being. I am proud that I was a latchkey kid. I love the fact that I was able to go out from sun up to sundown and experience life. Life is to be experienced. This is an adventure you're on. Each one of us are on our own adventures. It was not meant to be drawn into a little 3x5 screen and watch vicariously other people's lives. It's not meant to be that. It's meant to have you have your own life and your own experiences and your own stories. And I feel like we have fell so far from that we are lost as a people. We don't know up from down anymore. And that's why the messages I put out are so blatant, is because like, hey, wake up. This is not how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I think you're right too. People don't really know up or down anymore, or how straightforward some of this stuff can be, because they're so used to living life on that 3x5 screen. And it's a horrible way to live. There's times where I think about, okay, when I'm not necessarily around my phone as much, am I enjoying those times more? Absolutely. The weekend before we recorded this, I threw my brother's bachelor party, and all he wanted to do was, he quoted it, get ripped and go on water slides. So we went to a freaking water park for his bachelor party. You think I'm going to be able to have my phone out on me while I'm in a water park? No, threw it in the little locker. Everyone went their separate ways. My best friend and I were going down water slides for like 5 hours, just chilling, shooting the shit, being like little kids again. It was fantastic.
The best memories are supposed to live here.
Exactly. And I think about that with concerts as well. I mean, of course, I got a podcast. It's all about music. Should I be posting concert content? Yeah, I probably could. But the amount of times I'm like, okay, I really don't want to post because it's just another concert video. No one's really going to care. Plus, it's so much better to just be living in the moment and remember those crazy moments at shows where you can talk about them and not be distracted by, oh, I tried capturing it, it just didn't work. And now you ruin the whole moment just because you weren't actually active and a part of it. It's taking us away from being active in the world and being much more passive, just worrying about what's happening on this screen versus what is actually happening in front of us from the air we breathe, people we interact with that are actually tangible.
But at the same time, that's why Maynard is so hard on everybody about being cell phones. He wants you to experience what he's giving you. This is the greatest vocalist of my generation. Listen to him. Enjoy that moment. Like, be there. Like I go watch Tool, A Perfect Circle, Pussifer, any of that. My phone stays in the car. I am there to be there because that is a moment. And it's like I just feel like people have lost that, but they've also lost themselves because, I mean, you're searching for acceptance in a world of fake. It's a world of AI. It's like you don't even know what's real anymore. You like it's gotten so ridiculous. Get off of it. If be here, be in here. Try to make something change outside. Don't live in your room. Go outside. The sun has vitamin D. You need it. Go out in it. Get that stuff. But like, I just push for, we're a live band, and it's like, I want to be a live band, and I want people to come and experience it and have a good time. And at the same time, it's like, I want you to listen. I want you to listen to the whole thing. Because like most people are skimmers. 30 seconds done. 30 seconds done. There's more to be taught than 30 seconds. It's like, you need to understand, it's like your attention span's meant for more than this. You're being fed. It's just like eating junk food every day. It's not going to do you good. It's not going to be a situation where the end results are going to be, oh, he's a genius. Nah, you're going to be idiocracy. I like money. It's like, that's what we're heading to. And it's like, people, it's like, understand, put it down, at least put it down for a couple hours a day. And when you do that and you walk away from it, you'll see like how addicted you really, it's like a drug. It really is. And this is coming from an addict that used to deal with substance abuse. That is just as bad. Like, you are just as addicted to that as you are anything else.
You are not wrong on that in the slightest, because I see about how much I'm like my computer, my phone. It's like, oh, how much have you spent on it this week? And it's insane the amount of time I've spent on it. Of course, I'm always working on stuff like this. If my work computer did the same thing, it seemed like I never went outside at all. But if I go to the gym, my phone is thrown in the car and I don't even look at it. Like, I'll listen to music on my old ass iPod, but I don't want to be distracted at that point. I want to be present. I go hang out with my girlfriend. My phone goes on do not disturb, or I turn it off because I just don't want to miss that moment. I go to a concert, phone's in a pocket, it's wrapped up in something because I'm always in the pit. I just don't want it to break, but I'm not going to take a picture or anything or just take another video just because I want to be in that moment. I want to remember this. I think about the week before we shot this, I went to go see A Day to Remember. And it was like, I think about the whole entire show. I remember all the crazy, mosh pit moments, all the crazy things. I don't have a picture of any of it. I don't have a video of any of it. But I remember it so vividly because I actually lived it.
I had a concert like that.
A beautiful
Black Sabbath in '96. when they got back and they had the original lineup with Bill Ward and everybody. I
Mhm.
went and seen that, and it was Ozfest. And I remember Pantera was on the bill, Fear Factory, Cold Chamber, Slayer, who like, and it was such a fun day. And I remember when Black Sabbath hit the stage, and I was 17 years old, and I can still remember it like it was yesterday. Like I can remember the laser lights. I can remember all that. And some memories are meant to be here. This is the biggest computer you have. Fill it up with information. Get off Google and start memorizing things. Like use your brain for what it's there for. And I noticed with the TikTok thing, I got addicted to TikTok just like everybody else did for a while. And I'll sit there for hours and scroll and scroll and scroll. And I'm a big movie nerd. I love movies. Hello, baby. Hello.
Hi.
Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay.
I have to leave in 10 minutes.
Okay. I have this movie collection, and I could not watch a movie all the way through. I had to fast forward every time I got bored. So I stopped watching TikTok and started making myself watch this stuff again so I could get through it. I could not even get through it.
That is, I mean, especially coming from a big movie guy, that is absolutely insane.
Seriously, I love movies and I love to watch movies. Like I will sit there. I love audiobooks, but TikTok showed me that reels are the worst thing for the human brain. They will make you uninterested within 30 seconds.
And then how is that going to affect everybody else in your day-to-day lives if you continue to look at that? And that's the way humanity is going. You know, you're trying to have a conversation with someone. After about 30 seconds, they're checked out. After any time, there's no substance that gets on there. Everything then ends up staying so surface level that if you're trying to connect with a person, you're not able to actually have those deep conversations because, oh, I get bored. Let's go talk about something else, or let's go do something else. Or if you're having fun activity, oh, I'm not into this, I'm going to go do something else. Well, now you're just completely ruining the whole entire thing because the attention level is so small because everything has to be surface level because you're just fed content every 15, 20, 30 seconds and you're swiping. There's no substance behind it. It's so surface level that it's absolutely insane. And then when it comes to music, when it comes to stuff like with Victim 1, if people are in that TikTok phase, you're not able to actually go deep in the message, go deep in the sound, go deep in the songs and really see how beautiful some of these songs are, how intense some of these things are, and the intricacy that's in there and how it can impact you because all you care about is what's on the surface and if there is that one cool moment where there's a breakdown where the guy goes woof.
Yeah, I ain't doing any of that either. That's the thing. It's like lyrically, I dove into Victim 1 and it is like a Tarantino meets Hitchcock. It's very in the mind. Like everybody's kind of expecting this laid out chapter 1 through 10 of just murders. It's not that. It's very much how it's in the killer's head. It's in his mind. And he's not a bad person. He's just went batshit crazy. He's just like set down in a world he doesn't recognize anymore. And a lot of the songs deal with the guilt and the, you know, how he argues with the split personality of like, I don't want to do this. You're going to do this. Like Son, I'll quote it. That is envy and how one side of his brain, one personality is envious of the other. Because I say it in the song, there is no you without me. Like they're envious of each other and which one's going to be in control. The song Voices I do with Aaron Nordstrom is another one where it's like he's the rational and I'm the aggressor. And we're going back and forth of just like we're going to show him like hold up, and he's the ration and the decision to be, you know, in how the decision of being like we can't do this because if we do this we're going to be just as guilty of these sins. So like this is a lot deeper than people think. I did not lay it out like a normal concept. This concept is a Tarantino. Like we're going to start in the middle, and then we're going to go to the beginning, and then we'll end up somewhere in the middle again, and then we're going to be at the end. You know, it's like it's very laid out where you got to take certain lyrics from certain songs and put them together. Like it's a total puzzle piece.
Yeah, you're trying to make it essentially like a movie and an absolute experience for people to go into and really discover. And I also love the fact that, especially with Victim 1, you didn't make it as much of an outward thing as more of an inward thing where it's your mind fighting these two different sides, whether it's the side to go and actually do it or the side to prevent doing it or the side that has done it and now has to deal with the repercussions versus side that wants to try and move on and try and get better from it. Because there are plenty of times, especially in the world, where we are making decisions every single day as people. And those decisions will definitely impact you, but have the possibility to impact other people as well. Your loved ones, your family, your friends, maybe a business partner, someone that you're connected with. That decision is going to impact them in some capacity. And it could be, especially when we're going the extremes, when it's something where you're trying to have that rational decision, like in Voices, where you're trying to rationally think about this, what's the right thing to do about it. But then you have the non-rational one that's going absolutely batshit crazy and possibly allowing these outside or foreign influences to influence exactly what you're thinking and make these decisions when they could be bad for you, but you're thinking about making them because you want to present it in a specific way to people on the outside or online that honestly don't really exist or don't really matter. It's an incredible thing to really dive into with this concept, especially, if you think about this whole entire thing. There's so much in there, so much in your mind, and so many people are going through so many of these things, maybe not as grand of a scale as you're putting it out there with Victim 1, but when we have that grander scale, we're able to narrow it down to the boiling point of where the core came from and how it relates to our lives and really understand the decisions that we're making, how it's impacting everybody. That's not only ourselves, but the people that we're closely connected to as well.
And that's it. It's like, how far have I, like, everybody's guilty of one of these sins. You've been greedy. You've been selfish. Hopefully you've not committed murder. It's like hopefully you haven't gone that far. But like knowing that, like, everybody has dipped their toes into this, and it's like, how far have you fallen into it? Like, can you retract yourself and be like, that's not good. Like, I shouldn't be this greedy, or I shouldn't be this unempathetic. Like, I need to like come back and realize where if I make a mistake. And that goes back to the word confession. Are you willing to confess what you've done? Because sometimes you don't have to do it to somebody. You can confess to yourself and admit to yourself that you're making a mistake, and you will change it. You have to be able to do that in life. You got to be able to compromise and be like, that was wrong, and be able to say that was wrong, because the burden you will lift off yourself by being able to admit that is so great. Being like, I was wrong. If you can do that, you will have a better life. If you can stop and stop being so self-serving for a moment and being like, that was a mistake. And that's the whole thing about a killer's confession. Everybody always skips it. It's confession, being able to admit that I did something wrong.
Because that piece also is something that a lot of people are afraid of, given the fact that they have to take accountability then for their actions. And that's why they focus on the killer's part, not the confession part of it, because no one wants to necessarily take accountability for the things that they did wrong or the things that they don't like about themselves. But when you're able to take a look inward, because I've had to do this myself multiple times in life recently as well, where I looked at myself, looked in the mirror, and had to admit that the things that I was doing or something that I did was not something that I liked that I did, or something that I really like as a part of my person, as a part of my character. So the first thing you have to do is you have to admit and you have to confess that to yourself, that what you did wasn't good. What you did was a problem. And then when you do that, not only is the burden of, okay, now it's realized is off your shoulders, but it allows you to actually go forward and fix it and make yourself better and improve from it. It's like, like the steps of solving a problem, or the steps of AA. The first part of solving a problem is recognizing that there is one. And in that point, when you confess it, you recognize that problem to yourself, and then you can go forward and make those amends. You can go forward and find help and seek help to get better. You can go forward and make those active moments and make those active conscious decisions, so that when you're making those choices, you are making the choices that not only you want to make, but also reflect the character and the person that you truly are and you truly want to be going forward.
And that's it too. Like, and that's why I'm so proud of Victim 1, because like it's so fleshed out. Like, and it's, and I love the fact that Andrew Goodfriend sat me down last year and it's like, you're not touring, you're writing this. And he put it was the hardest thing I've ever done. This album was so hard to write, because I did not want to be talking about going in to somebody's bedroom and stabbing them. Like, anybody can write that. Anybody can talk about that. Like, oh, I walked upstairs and I shot him. Oh, okay. Well, what went on? It's like that is just so just one dimensional. And I just turned it into like, let's make myself a victim as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's turn him. He's a victim just as much as the victim is. He's guilty of it as well because he has suffered from some of these sins and he knows it. So if he goes out and commits these acts, he is just as guilty. So like he's dealing with all of that, and it's a fun trip because also the guy's crazy. Like he has conversations with himself. There's a split personality. So we get into the album into a song called "The Rain." He's talking about being medicated. So are you nuts? Is it all happening in your head? Is this one of those American Psycho situations where, this didn't really happen? We're into that where like it could be a mental breakdown. Like I laid it out into a way, it's all for the interpretation, but it's all there. And you just got to be able to piece the puzzles together, be like, what's really happening? Because I'm going to continue this. Like this concept's going to continue into the next album and into the next. I'm going to make a trilogy of this.
Ooh. So we got even more to dive deep into.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go into like further, and like you said, AA is the steps of what he's going through, like of forgiveness and acceptance, and like we're gonna get into a lot more, dive further into it. So like I said, do a lot of reading, a lot of studying, and understanding the psyche of people, and like what does a person go through when they mourn or death. It's like the steps of like how do we accept. So like. On the next album, we're going to be taking another turn, and it's going to be in the same mind, and he's going to be still dealing with what's happened, but at the same time, he's going to be looking for other things. So, like, it's going to be a fun journey. It's going to be a fun trilogy.
Oh, it's going to be fun. And I like what you said, too, where it's like, we know where you're going with this. And we know the fact that it's like a killer. We got like a crazy guy that's got two different things going on in his head, trying to justify whether to do these actions or not. But the biggest thing, too, you brought up is the fact that as listeners, we're able to dive into this stuff and really interpret it in our own way to really take the most out of it. Like you brought up with The Rain, with this guy being medicated. Is it real? Is it not? Is it an American Psycho thing? I kind of took a different look at it where it's like the killer's finding some sort of joy in everything that he's doing in the world that is destroying itself from a simple lack of connection and respect for a fellow human being. So when that society doesn't care about anybody else and those that do feel left out, we are meant to find joy in something that is this shit. And that can be found in some of the darkest and gloomiest times, like it's in The Rain. So we're able to dive so much deeper into it that we're able to see these different pieces come together, but it all depends upon how we're looking at it, but also where we are in the world, how we view the world, and how this all constructs into this idea of we have so many things going on in our head. Are we going to do the thing that we want to do? Or are we going to do things that we shouldn't do based on the fact that all these other extenuating factors that are influencing us to do this other thing?
Exactly. This was a fun concept, but I will tell you, it was a burden. Like this was hard. Like do yourself a favor and try to come up with something like this and not be hokey. Be like, okay, you're going to be a serial killer or a vigilante, whichever you want to call it, and write it in a way that is interesting, but not cliche and not hokey. That was the biggest hurdle over all of it. Because, I mean, like I said, anybody can write about going upstairs and stabbing somebody and hiding under a bed. Anybody can do that. It's been done a million times, But what if we just go inside his head and find out what kind of a person he is? What kind of a person is this that's doing these things or doing the act? It's a torn individual. It's an individual that has lost hope in humanity, but hasn't at the same time, because like the more hope he loses in humanity, the more hope he loses within himself.
Yeah, and the more hope you lose within yourself, the further gone that you are, because hope is one of the strongest things in the world. There are people that go beyond what is even thought to be humanly possible just because they have hope that things are going to get better. There are plenty of times where people have been oppressed or have been persecuted throughout history and somehow have survived it just based on the fact they hope that one day things might get better. And if you lose that hope, if you lose that ability to just keep going on, then you're just done. There's no will, there's no reason, and all the negativity can come through because there is no passion and hope that the positivity, that the light of the world, that the light that you can bring to people is going to continue or come back once again.
Exactly. And that was the whole part of Victim One. It's like, how far have you gone without being able to come back? Can you realize I've stepped over the line? I need to step back and make an amends for whatever it was you stepped over the line for, but be able to realize and stop and start. And like you said, take accountability for your actions. That's the whole thing about Victim One, is finding the ability to realize that you're doing something wrong. And that we deal with that a lot in this album, of the fact he knows what he's doing is wrong. He knows it and he fights with it. He hates it. He does. It's like, this is not me. And the other side's like, yeah, it is. It's like, he's got the Jekyll and Hyde. And I actually make mention of that Jekyll and Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde is totally there.
Yeah, I know you make reference to that in voices too when you have Aaron on there as well. And the differentiation between the voices absolutely pits that out there and has as much of a stronger piece because we can hear it, because we can listen to it, and because we have that tangible connection to it now that we have the differing voices. And when it comes to just the fact that, as this killer, as he's wrestling with what he wants to do versus what, we're trying to think of the best way. The temptation of doing the other thing, the things that aren't that good, the things that are going to be more evil and heinous. In life as humans, we go through the same thing. And there are times where we go and do these things that we're not necessarily proud of, or we do it because, maybe we thought they were the best idea at the time. We were tempted to do them. Outside forces have influenced our mind to go and do those things. And even at times right at the beginning, we're not going to be right away to go, oh, that was wrong. Of course, we're going to have to realize that and come to that realization. But the important thing is when we come to that realization and we are able to look in the mirror and admit that to ourselves, that what we did wasn't right, what we did wasn't something that we want to do, and that problem is coming from inside of us. Now we have that problem recognized. Now we can go forward and fix it. Now we can go forward and make amends for it. If we need to go and get help to have that done, we can absolutely go and do that. And now we have the courage to go and do that because we're not trying to hide it from ourselves. If we're trying to hide it from ourselves, we're going to have it be completely hidden from everybody. If we're able to confess that and actually open up about it to ourselves, now we're going to have that burden lift off our shoulders, like you said, to go forward and actually do it. And that's where this album and the concept behind it really dives deep. And it doesn't do it in a hokey way. It does it like an American Psycho type movie, not like Death Wish 3, which is a very hokey, Charles Bronson action movie. But I still like it, but don't get me wrong, it is very hokey.
But you know what I mean? It's like, like this is my legacy, and this is what I'm leaving for the future. I don't want somebody to take my work 200 years from now and be like, this dude was stupid. And there's going to be a lot of stuff picked up from this time period, but that was a moron, and they worship this. They were idiots, and it's going to happen. And I'm right. There is some stuff
I know exactly. You're right.
Absolutely garbage, and it's massive, and it's so stupid. Like it just by looking at it, my IQ drops, like straight up. And I am not. And I'm not going to throw people on the bus. I mean, good for you. If you're making a living doing something, that's great. But you need to start taking some accountability, because, I don't want to be in the future somebody be like, man, that was a moron. And we need a less Ron. We need less Rons around here because there's a lot of morons. I'm not going to be that guy, so I take very to heart, if I'm going to have a platform, I'm going to say something worthwhile. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say a hook and about what I've got. Like, anybody that's willing to sit there and flaunt the fact that they're making tons and tons of money, and they have all this stuff, this materialistic crap that you can't take with you. That's unimportant. All you're doing is making somebody feel bad that they don't have it, and then they strive any means they can to get it. You don't need to be doing that. You don't need to be just sitting there like, oh, I got this and this and this and this, and you got nothing. That you're just being a gloat. You're just your vanity is your sin. Especially like that. That's your sin, and I'm against that. I want a message to be like, he was just trying to tell you that there's another way, and there's hope, and you're greater within yourself. What was created was an amazing thing, and life is a beautiful thing, and it's what you make it every day. Life is what you make it. If you put out bad, you're going to get bad. You put out good, you're going to get good. But life is what you make it.
Yeah, and if you put out only things that are going to last 30 seconds, then everything's going to be surface level, and your life's going to be something that just feels like 30 seconds. You have this opportunity in life to do so many great things. You have this opportunity to do so much. And you're the one that has to go and do it. And it's hard to go and do some of these things too, to have that something to go through this, continue to have that hope that things are going to get better even when things aren't that good, to go and bypass all the different ideas of greed, lust, vanity, just anything that's our indulgence, whatever it
Gluttony,
might be.
wrath. I mean, there's so many, and we're guilty of all of them in each and own way.
Hmm.
You're guilty of you're guilty of all of them. So hopefully, just not murder. I don't want anybody killing anybody or anything like that. But the fact is, it's like it's a warning of like, check yourself. Like everybody deep down wants to be good, and if you're not, you're a demon. Straight up, I'm just gonna say, if you don't have the if you don't have the ability to have empathy and feel and care, because understanding is like, yes, you wake up with yourself and you're in your own world every day, but guess what? The person across from you is too. They're going through the same problems you are. They're in just a different way. It's their problem, but it's their world. Everybody's in their own world, but you've got to understand that we're all living cohesively together in a combined world. You got to stop being so selfish and so self-centered. Like that is the biggest problem with everybody right now, is everybody's so self-centered. Like everybody goes straight to their social media, looks how many likes, how much love did they get today. You don't need it. What you need is to love the ones around you. You need to get up. You need to go do something, make something of yourself, apply yourself. Don't wait for things to come to you, because nothing's ever going to come to you. Only great things comes to those who search it and work for it. Nothing is wrong with a hard day's work. It may suck, your back may hurt, but you accomplished something. And for anybody out there, the reason the military have everybody make their bed first thing in the day, so you have accomplished one thing. Just by making your bed, getting up and making your bed, you've accomplished one thing that day. Start there. Like, try to accomplish something. Stop sitting there on social media wanting to be the next great influencer. You don't want to be an influencer. You want to be an educator. Educate somebody. Don't influence them. Influence them is tricking somebody. You don't want to be tricked. You want to be educated. You want to be educated on what you speak on. You want to use your brain. You don't want to fall in this fake world of fake likes and fake love with people you're never going to meet. You want to be in the world you're in right now with the people that are surrounding you. And if those people around you and you're doing good by them, it's going to spread. That's all you got to do.
And trust me, the love of your family, the connection you have with your friends, the love of you have with your significant other, that's going to mean so much more than just trying to get an enormous amount of likes on a social media post.
Mhm.
Because in the end, those likes, it's just a click of a button and a scroll. It is literally feels like an obligation at points in time when it come across something of a band that you like or an influencer that you like. But when it comes to actually the connection with family and they truly support something that you do, that love and support goes so much further than because you're scrolling the
They're
next.
still going to be there when it's gone.
Exactly.
They're going to be the ones holding your hands when God forbid you have cancer and you're on your deathbed, and they're going to tell you how much they loved you. Those are the ones that matter.
Those are the ones that matter, and that's something that we can really understand and really get behind, not only with Victim One, with how much we go into our own minds with this whole entire album, but also just realize, hey, there's a whole world out there that's not on a 3x5 screen. And those are the people that actually care about you. And when things go good, they're going to be the people that are going to support you and champion you and be your best supporters. And when things aren't going right, they're the people that are going to be able to hold your hand and inspire that hope that things will get better.
Exactly. It's like the love of my wife and my children. That's, and I love my fans, and everybody knows that. But when it really boils down to it, the love of my wife and my children is all that matters. Like family over everything until everything is gone.
Absolutely. Well, Waylon, dude, I love this conversation. I never know how these things are going to go, and this was an absolutely incredible one. So thank you, but I've got one more question to ask you before I wrap this up. It's something I love to ask every artist I have on here. So, Waylon, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you absolutely love that you would love to see more people get into?
Bands I absolutely love. Well, you can get into the Olive Boys, because that's my son's new band. He just started. Um, let me think for a second. You would ask me that question. I'm trying to think. Hold on. Give me one. Yeah, Red Star. Get into Red Star. They're up and coming act. They're very, very, very talented individuals. And Outlier.
Yes.
So there you go, man. There's some upcoming bands I want to see people get turned on.
I love those picks, man. I love, you picking your son's band. Red Star, I've had Damien on the podcast twice.
Damien's great, dude. That's my boy.
And then when it comes to Outlier, I always try and have Joey on the podcast once a year. And him and I, like a conversation that you and I just had, that's a typical conversation for Joey and I.
Oh, Joey's great. I love Joey. Joey, like I've toured with all these bands except for my son, and I'm working on my son's music right now. But those are my picks. You've seen, I actually thought about it. I was like, who am I going to use right now to no, Outlier and Red Star are two bands that I want to see blow up.
Yeah, I got to get Red Star back on, but Joey, I recently had him on because it just came out with the song featuring Chris Motionless, and I was like, I got to talk to him about this, and literally the day of the release, we had a nice little conversation on something like this, so I was...
You tell Joey I said, hey, next time you talk to him.
Oh, I will, and, well, funny enough, next time you see Joey, especially if it's at a show... Bring him some flowers and throw them to him on stage. He's always wanted to feel like Tony Bennett when old ladies would come and give him flowers.
So you're telling me put a dress on and a wig and throw it?
You can put a dress and a wig, and I don't care, but you can throw a bouquet of flowers. And next time I see him play live, I got to find a way to sneak a bouquet of flowers in, and then when he's done, I'm just going to chuck it up on stage, and he'll look at it like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden I'll be waving there like, hey, buddy.
Okay, I'll do it.
If he sees you do it, it's gonna be even funnier than if I do. It'll be like, how the hell did Waylon know about freaking Kevin, man? It'll be too funny. I got
you, brother.
Perfect. Well, Waylon, as we bring this episode to a conclusion, I want to end this with three things. First things first, when it comes to A Killer's Confession, the new album, Victim 1, comes out on September 13th. So you're going to want to make sure you know when this is happening. Follow along with the band to know when the release is happening. And trust me, these guys are not slowing down anytime soon. So there will be more shows for you to go and see these guys play live. So go script for the podcast where it says Find a Killer's Confession online. Links and labels to where you can follow along with the band, stream the album, pre-save it, pre-order it, get some merch as well, and go and see them play live. All going to be down there for you. I'm going to be your own personal Google on this one, so you don't have to go to another site to go to Google to search it up. No, it's all down there for you. I'm taking all the burden. Convenience is yours. Now it's time for number 2. Well, whenever a guest in the podcast, I enjoy the podcast, I tend to make a certain promise as a way to say, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. And I wish you continue to support the band in the future. So, sir, my promise to you is this. It is not an if. If means this might not happen. When means this will happen, but we just don't have a day or time yet. So when I get to see you perform live for the first time, I'm going to go all cinematic style Liam Neeson on you as I will look for you. I will pursue you. I will find you. I will come say hi, but first round's on me.
All right. You got to buy me a cherry Pepsi because I don't drink.
That is A-okay with me. That's why it's never like, first beer. First round, whatever you want. If it's a cherry Pepsi, if it's a Red Bull. Hell, if it's a water, I'm good with that too. I don't mind. Just as long as it's something.
Quitters. I want a cherry Pepsi.
Okay, cherry Pepsi it is then. We're making it happen. If not, if they don't have cherry Pepsi at the venue, well, then I'm sneaking one in anyway.
That's right.
Anyway, now it's time for number 3. As we bring this to a conclusion, I cannot end this by saying goodbye. Dude, this was a hell of a conversation. Absolutely loved it. Have made you a promise, but also I would love to bring you back on the podcast again in the future. I know you got 2 more albums that are already going to be a part of this trilogy. So when the second one comes out, we got to do this again.
We will totally do it again. Anytime, brother. Just let me know.
Perfect. Thank you. So on that note, this is not goodbye. This is, I'll see you later.
See you later, brother.
Well, folks, in my interview with Waylon from the band A Killer's Confession, now it's time for Kevin's final thought. And this is where we're going with my final thought today. So one thing that Waylon and I even started talking about before we started recording was, you saw it happen in there, the attention span, TikTok, 30 seconds. The fact that A Killer's Confession is a band you need to go and see live and really experience and have that viability because the product is such a great thing and there's so much substance behind it like there is in Victim 1. But what really stood out to me is just, how not only does that mindset of a live performance really show up on this album, but this album shows up on, understanding the things that we aren't that great at, the things that we are influenced and do that are not in the best interest of not only ourselves, but the people around us, and how much of an impact it has when we let those things happen. And they're only going to continue to happen, the bad things, if we don't look and we're looking at ourselves and say, I messed up. it's my responsibility. I'm the one that's wrong. I'm the one that caused this. When we're able to look into ourselves and really understand that and think that, that's when we're able to make those changes to inspire hope within us so that the positivity comes out, that the light comes out, and we're not constantly butting heads with our own selves and really diving deep into this manic world that, we're living in. Whether you think the world is based on a 3x5 screen that is in your pocket or in front of you, most people are thinking it's a 3x5 screen now. You know what? I know my podcast is on, good old those 3x5 screens, or you're watching it too. I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for taking the time for that. But also, take a look at yourself. Take a look at the decisions you're making. Are they the ones you want to make or the ones that you don't want to make? Are you like the killer in Victim 1 who is allowing all the negativity to fly in and do the actions that he doesn't want to do? Or are you the one that are doing the actions that you want to do and are fighting off the ones you don't want to do because you recognize that you are going to be accountable for your actions and you want to do good? Or have you done bad and you're going to confess to yourself that you've done those actions so that you can do better? Let's hope we're doing better, everybody. Let's just hope. I want to thank Waylon for coming to the podcast today. Go subscribe to the podcast below. When it comes to A Killer's Confession, find him online, find him on social media, follow along with him because they've got new music coming out again, September 13th. So go and check it out. New shows coming your way as well. So be sure to go and see them because I will for sure. Also, be sure to subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast right down here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button or follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Like the episodes to help push us in the algorithm. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you, everybody. And on that note, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you for watching and listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin. And you guys know how I end every single one. It's the big, healthy, and hearty. See ya!
Yeah.